Okay, I want to take a moment and document this more than likely or possibly for future reference. Um, I'm still noticing that the numbers are incorrect, but it's random. Now, in the previous video, or in the previous like little scenario or test case or test situation, I had I had the persistent variables set, and then I was capping beds by I think it was charisma and bed count, or capping settlers by charisma and bed count. Okay, so I turned off the bed count and I turned off the persistent variables, and I noticed that of course the numbers go wonky. So we're back to that vanilla issue where, or the base game issue, the engine issue, where settlements aren't being calculated properly. Now, in the past few times I noticed it, or at least in just kind of just skimming the top of the air, so to speak. Um, in the past times that I had actually done, played the game or done any tests, I believe that the problem starts once you get. I think if you start out with just, well, no, that's not entirely true either. Because I'm thinking, well, with Sanctuary, and I was thinking it was a combination of like, like the Sanctuary, Red Rocket, and Abernathy. Somewhere once you start getting all of those, or even Sunshine Tidings, that it would really just wonk out. I don't think that Sanctuary had any TVs in it when I first noticed the issue. But let me just get this done real quick, and I can get back to kind of doing some testing. Okay, so I noticed, and this is probably nothing, so I'm just kind of I'm kind of putting this there so I can come back to it at a later date. So if you notice over here in the workshop framework column, what this is these are user customizable columns. So, and I'm not really big on recompiling code every 5 minutes. I kind of like to do things, kind of try to future proof it so that the puts a little bit of coding ability, in a sense, into the hand of the user, where this program has the program can have applications can have a little more mileage. I've always done this as long as I can remember. But so anyways, this column here basically looks for specific keywords that you define. It isn't just a single keyword. It could be multiple keywords that you find within the papyrus log. Okay, so let's just and also well, let me start it with this. So let me continue with this. I noticed that not every single instance of these sessions, and what a session is, it's a time period between saves. So if I play for 5 minutes and I save the game, then that 5 minute period gets time stamped. It's associated with that game save. So that game save is time stamped to those 5 minutes. So each one of these is a game save that is time stamped to a particular period within that papyrus log. Okay, so if you notice during all of these game saves, or during these session times, now this right here is the beginning of a new game session. This is the one I'm testing out now. And if you notice, there's not SS2 errors every single time, which would make sense because you got multiple scripts running. And the only SS2 stuff I have installed is Workshop Framework. Again, like with the previous tests, I wanted to make sure that I had a solid base before I start adding more stuff in, because otherwise it's just too many variables. There's too many variables that can cause the issue, and it's impossible to really track down or even isolate what it might be. So that being said, they're not happening every time. Now I am visiting settlements. I think this right here, this first instance is where I loaded the game. Okay, and I know this is a lot of exposition on the data, but it at least gives some idea of what I'm looking at, so you can see how I'm coming to the conclusion I'm coming to. This right here, this is the gaming session where it begins. So this is where I boot up the game and I make my first game save, which is this one right here. And of course, every time you boot up the game, you got all the scripts firing off, everything initializing, so you're going to have more errors than normal. I've never really looked at this to see what these are, so I'm going to ignore that for the moment. But what I've noticed I started picking up are these right here. These smaller 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, these particular, here, let me take this off like this, these particular warnings. And it's only a warning because I set it for a warning. It just makes the data stand out. It makes the data pop off the sheet. So if we take a look at this, and I'll do a couple of these, if we bring this up, okay, and if we go over here and let's just filter out SS2, and it'll show you what I have for the filters. So for SS2, it filters out any text that's got SS2, Sim Settlement, Workshop, or Workshop Framework. And you can see that Workshop is showing up as the 5 entries. And the one entry that I notice is popping up is WorkshopStoreKey. I wonder, should this be store key? Should this be like store key or something? Because I don't have SS2 installed, it's just Workshop Framework, and I don't remember seeing this before because I don't believe this popped up a lot. So I'm not really sure if, you know, I have no, not association, but I can't say that when this pops up, the numbers go south in the workshop, because they did for Sanctuary. They went back to the bed count. The people was all the bed count. And again, I'm thinking that's an engine problem, a game problem, base game problem, not a mod problem, because I believe that happens even in the base game. Now, I'm thinking that because it wasn't detrimental to the game and it only happened every now and then, they couldn't solve it. I believe my feeling is that Bethesda could not solve the issue, and I think they have cutoffs, and they're not going to update the game. So they assume that's a snapshot of the engine at the time, and that's what they did. But I do believe that because it's not game breaking, it's not a priority, therefore they just overlook it. And I think, again, that's part of that oversimplification of just the process. But anyways, that's something different for something later, for a later time. Okay, so let's check another one out here. Let's go in here and let's take a look at the next one. All right, let's bring that up. Let's see. Let's go over to here. Let's just double check and make sure that I did get that correctly. All right, let's go in and let's try this filter again. Let's do SS2. Okay, it looks like the same thing. Okay, let's go over to here, and I have a feeling it's going to be the same on all of this. All right, let's see. All right, let's just double check her, because like I said, I put some changes in here, and there's more changes coming. So let's verify that we're actually getting the data. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's gonna be probably these 4 lines, because if you look over here, there's 4 warnings. Now this one's probably gonna be different, because I do see 6 warnings. So let's go in here and let's filter that for SS2, and let's see. Yeah, so clean resource list. I'm assuming this is okay stuff, but I just wanted to put this up there just to take a look and see. I thought the Workshop K should be Workshop Key, but then I'm just guessing. But these are not constant. Now, it might be true that it depends on when I save the game. The scripts could be in the middle of doing something at the time I save it, and then these disappear. So these could always be present or almost never present, because you can see up here they're almost never present during an entire session time, entire play time. And you can see that, you can see the start time, right? And then you can see the end time. So yeah, I'm not really sure, but wanted to add this to the kind of the documentation list, so I can fall back on it later, maybe look at it, and you know, maybe some patterns will start showing up. So all right, I'm gonna hop back in and start testing, and I'll upload this here in just a bit.